Hi, everybody. I'm Paul Yeager. This is the MTOM podcast, a production of Iowa PBS and the Market to Market TV show. We're going to talk about health, and we're going to go both physical and mental with a friend of ours who we've had on before, Amanda Nigg from South Dakota. You know about her physical training, her farm fit training. We're going to talk a little bit about that, but just also how things are going, how physical health can make a huge difference in your mental health. And we're going to talk about doing some things on your own, but also having communities and how important that tribe is in working together for the greater good. We hope you find this discussion good. If you have feedback for me, send me an email at paul.yeager@iowapbs.org. New episodes of this podcast come out each and every Tuesday. Now, let's get to Amanda. In the winter, I think it's the only time I can ever catch you sitting down. Does that seem about right?
No, that's 100% accurate. Well, lately I've been in front of my computer a lot because my business is online and my husband gives me crap about it because he's like, you're always in front of your computer. But when the kids get home, I'm checked out. I'm away from my computer. I'm paying attention to our family and what we got going on. And obviously, definitely different during the season, like planting and harvest. I always joke around with people that I'm the wheel turner on our farm or the parts runner. So, I'm not as much sitting down, I guess. Well, I guess I'm sitting in the car, but
You
it's
are, but it's planning. I mean, February, March, that's planning for spring. January might be a little bit of recovery, but it's also education. I can never keep track. Every time I see a post from you, you're doing something else. I mean, how do you keep things organized?
I have a team. I'll be the first to tell you, I'm not a one-man show. There's no way I could manage everything. I have an amazing team, and a really cool part is we're all tied to agriculture, so we really understand this industry in and out, and we're all experiencing the exact same things when it happens to this industry. And so it's I mean, I appreciate these individuals that work with me, and I feel blessed and honored to have them on the team. But there's no way I could manage all this by myself. I would be living in front of a computer.
Well, and when we first talked to you, it was kind of updating, or it was just telling people your story, and how you. It wasn't necessarily an aha moment, but it was a moment where you realized I need to do something and I need to do it stat. And is that still what inspires you and motivates you on a daily basis?
Absolutely. I think we talked was it 2021 or
It was
2022?
either 20 or 21. It was I hate to admit it, a while ago.
It was a hop, skip ago. But yeah, I think we talked just after I launched Farm Fit Training, if I remember right. And we were talking more about my journey. And, it's crazy to think about because, during that time, still, we were still navigating insurance. Our house burnt down in 2020. We were still kind of going through that pandemic at the time. And I talked about why I launched Farm Fit Training. I hope you post with this video, the original conversation you and I had, because
It'll be linked, of course. Yeah.
uh, I
Mm.
gave a lot of insight to kind of my journey and process of why I started Farm Fit Training and um, what my mission was. Um, is definitely towards the agriculture community of where I really wanted to bridge that gap between physical and mental health. So, yeah, I
Do
mean,
you think
there's so
we're
much.
still do
Oh,
you
go
think
ahead.
we're still there being motivated? Is that still who you want to target? Has that
100%.
changed?
No,
Oh.
actually, our mission state that is still the same. We're as far as the mission statement, which has always been the same since I started, and it's I give the ag industry tools and strategies to lose fat, build muscle, improve their mental health while creating a sustainable lifestyle. That mission is still true to this day. That has not changed. That has the structure of who we want to work with, what we do in the program. None of that has changed. Now we've kind of gone away from one-on-one coaching, just because we've had such high demand that it was really hard to turn people away. And we've more structured ourselves into the group style of coaching. So that side of things have changed, where we've made ourselves more available to take on more individuals and be able to help them process through, the physical transformation. And I would love to actually fill this in here, Paul. Is like a lot of people don't realize that, we talk a lot. There's amazing groups out there that talk about mental health, or they're like one that I can think of is Mind Your Melons. I was actually on their podcast. They're doing a fantastic talking about mental health, but a lot of people don't realize that sometimes the mental side of things come once you start your physical transformation. It's not the other way around. Like a lot of people think, oh, I need to be in the right mental mindset to start a physical transformation. And it's actually backwards. Like sometimes when you start a physical transformation, it's going to be hard. Like it sucks at the beginning. You're going to be sore. But through that process, you start to understand yourself. You start to mentally check in with yourself. You start to see a whole different version of yourself that you never thought before. And so when people say, "Oh, it's about the mind and body connection," it is. It's more so you start to work on your body and the mental side of things actually come into play and more powerful and more prevalent into what you're doing every day.
It's the endorphins I get from getting on a treadmill or lifting weights or doing yoga or pickleball or whatever it is. It's that. Does it necessarily push out some of those other toxins that might weigh on us?
Like, are you talking about like physically working out, like doing a
Yeah,
workout?
what a physical workout does, and does that flesh out some of those? I guess I don't know if it's proper to say negative toxins, but those things that can maybe mess with our mental health.
Absolutely. I mean, well, endorphins are like our body's natural ability to build a happy pill, if you think about it. And endorphins come from a physical activity. And it doesn't have to be complicated. It can be something simple, like you just mentioned, you walk on the treadmill, something like that, to get your heart rate up, or even being proactive and taking more steps throughout the day, being more transparent of where you get your movement in. And that's one of the things that we don't kind of we address within the agriculture community is because like in ag, like technology is advancing. It's super cool. Like this past year or 2 years ago, I think it was. No, it was this last year. Case IH came out with our quad track. Have you seen that thing? That like thing is like
I've seen pictures. Yeah, I haven't seen it in person.
it turns by itself now, at the end of the rows, you don't have to touch a steering wheel. It'll turn by yourself. Like check out and so what I'm trying to make here is like technology is advancing, but what's not advancing is the physical component within agriculture. And again, you have to be physical to be able to tap into your mental health. Like you have to be more proactive in getting that physical steps in and movement in, and also nutrition plays into that. We approach nutrition completely different than 99%, and I can accurately say this, 99% of the nutrition space or fitness space out there on social media is we approach it 100% different. We don't hand you like a cookie cutter nutrition plan. Like for example, Paul, if you came to me and you're like, I want to do farm fit training, I more educate you with wholesome meals that you could make for a whole family, not just yourself. And so it becomes that tripling effect where you're impacting those around you as well. So as you're working on your journey, it bleeds into other parts and aspects of your life and it becomes a whole different beast where you're working on yourself, but not just for yourself, but also your family.
You said there, let's go back to the technology side of things. I mean, agriculture has allowed us to sit on that tractor seat a lot, and we don't get out there and shovel the corn and like we used to. I mean, and that used to be the workout. For a farmer to say, I'm working out before I go farm, I think even 20 years ago, maybe even 10 years ago, they'd look at you funny. But it is so important to have that physical uh, I won't say acuity, that's the wrong word, but that physical task done some point in your day. It is so important. Let's just start with your heart health, let alone your mental health. But have you found that the farmer has been more receptive to your approach in the last 5 years since you started?
It's actually been 4 years. So I've been
Or
so but
four?
My anniversary is tomorrow. Did you know that? So
Oh,
Farm Training's anniversary is tomorrow, which is February 5th of 2021 is when I opened the doors. And we're just wrapping up year 4, which is crazy to me. I actually said that to my husband earlier today, and I was like, "Do you realize I'm wrapping up 4 years?" And he's like, "Yeah." And I was like, I just feel like it's so long ago." And he's like, "Why?" And I was like, "I don't know. I just feel like I've been in business for 10 years. I don't know. That's just how I feel." But I would have to say we're definitely more receptive because more people are paying attention. The biggest thing. Health is very talked about right now, especially on the political side of things. And not just that, like people are paying more attention. And that was really highlighted in 2020, especially when we all went through that pandemic, is like a lot of people realized how important taking care of yourself and being able to check in with yourself was a part of that process. And I think it was just really opened our eyes to where a lot of people are like, "Oh, one day I'll start a fitness journey or one day I'll start to dive into my nutrition," where it was like, "No, today I'm gonna start into it because I don't wanna be that 80-year-old in a wheelchair in a nursing home. I wanna be active. I wanna be a part of the farming operation. I wanna be here when the next generation comes on the farm and takes over." And I think that's where it really opened people's individuals' eyes. Like, I have clients that are 70, all the way down to, I think the youngest client I have is 19, all the way up to like 80. We cover a huge range when it comes to age. And I mean, I can think of one client, her name's Gloria. She's a farm wife, stay at home, and she was in her upper or upper 60s when she joined us, and she was joined us in like 2022 or something like that. She's been with us for a while, and she joined us because her daughter joined the program. And here's this lady, 70 years old, who has a six pack. Like, it's not about aesthetics. I will say that. But still, like for her, like it was just this huge nutrition physical switch where she really was in tune with her body and what her body needs. And that's the biggest thing is like, with Farm Fit training, I really wanted to hone in on that. Like, I didn't want it to be a typical fitness program. I really wanted to be able to educate people the why and the science behind everything so that you understand what you're doing for your body. And that's super huge because how many times do we do a workout and we're like, okay, that workout kicked my butt, but what is it going to do? Like, how is this benefiting me by doing this workout? Or how is eating this type of nutrition, like we do something called macronutrients. So it's not a diet. The first and foremost, that word diet means nutrition. But for me, watching my mom always grow up on these random diets, I view the word diet as a restricted thing. Again, that's my mindset. I
hmm.
instantly take restrictive, where macronutrients is more of a nutritional theory. So we're focusing on protein, carbs, and fats in large amount to fuel our body. And so it's just that subtle mindset switch that happens. And it's so cool to see, especially in agriculture, because I mean, we were just talking about this, you and I, before we hit record. Agriculture, we have a massive problem when it comes to obesity in rural America and also suicides. And that's scary. If you think about it, like obesity in rural America is 47%. In rural America, 47% are considered obese. Isn't
Is
that
there
crazy?
any one reason why that number is so high?
So the huge case study that I read about it gave into reasons of like access to healthier foods and stuff, and which I don't agree with, obviously. And they also gave the case study about being able to reach healthcare services and stuff like that. I don't agree with that either. Um, it's just the study for me was kind of left me with a lot of questions. It was just like, I understand, like, for example, let's use me as an example here, is the closest gym to me is 45 minutes away one way. So I'm gonna be honest, like for a busy mom, farm wife, we don't have hired help. So I'm it. When my husband needs me to out there to lift a piece of equipment with him or do something, like I'm his resource. And for me to make that make sense, driving 45 minutes one way to a gym, it doesn't. It's not feasible. It doesn't work with what I have going on. And so I think it's more access or being able to access a program that's available, that's close, that you could do at home, where you can really educate yourself in the process of how to feel your body and how to take like a 15 to 25-minute workout, how that impacts your mental health and your physical health, and it really changes that dynamic. And I have yet to see somebody that has created something similar to what I've created. Not to toot my horn, but it has been a journey. It has been a journey, creating this.
Well, let's go back to the first thing you said that you didn't agree with in the access to fresh food. Why do you not see that as an answer or a
Because
reason?
Okay, so for me, case in point, we don't have chickens on the farm, but our neighbor does. I buy fresh eggs from my neighbor. I pay $4 for a dozen eggs, and I get fresh farm eggs. Um, we have a friend that has a bunch of cattle that does ranching not too far from us. We buy half a cow from him, so I buy meat directly from him. I don't think in rural America we have access to food directly from your farmer or your rancher. You just had to be willing to go get it and not rely on grocery stores or food chains. It's there. It's connecting back to agriculture and connecting to those that are actually growing your food or raising your food. And so that's why I really have a hard time with that statistic, because it's like a lot of people don't think about that. They think, oh, I have to go to the grocery store to buy my groceries. So actually, you don't. There's
Well,
farmer markets all over the place. There's people selling eggs, people selling beef that you can buy directly from them, that's grown it not too far from you or raised too.
the eggs and the beef it might be a mile away, but in the farmers markets, they tend to be more seasonal in our land in our areas, and so it becomes a lot harder to get those fruits and vegetables. Are those important to have in our diet too? And how do
Oh,
you fill
absolutely.
that need?
You can buy from people online. So one of the things, so like noodles, I'm going to use noodles for example. There is this company called Three Farm Daughters. They're out of Grand Forks, North Dakota. Not only do they raise the wheat and the grain, but they also process it and package it, and you could buy directly from them. So like in rural America, you can get online and buy directly from the farmers. So like I order my avocados out of Canada actually, that comes straight from the farm to my house. Like, and same with like some fruit. There was a fruit campaign not too long ago where they were selling like apples, oranges, and stuff like that. Again, I bought it directly from the farmer and it came directly to my house. So like you can have access to that. You just have to look online. Like you can buy directly from the farmer or rancher.
And that you're filling it. Okay, you're on the farm, but what about that community 45 minutes away that might not have that relationship with the farm? How do I get started that I can get on my better eating and local supply chain if I don't know anybody?
Well, I mean, you can go to the grocery store. I go to the grocery store. I don't want to say
Well,
that.
and I get that, and
Yeah,
that's
I
and
go to
I'm
the grocery
I'm
store.
totally on with that. I do too.
Yeah, like, I mean, I shop at Hy-Vee. That's the grocery chain because it's, employee owned, that's kind of what I like to support. But if you want that connection, like the other day I posted about how we got half a beef or I say half a beef, but it's actually half a steer, and we stocked our freezer not too long ago, and I did a post about it. And I actually had a lot of people reach out to me and ask how I got started. And what I told them was go to your local butcher shop and just ask what local ranchers supply or have people buy, and then start there. And then from there, you can go build a relationship with that local rancher. And I connected a gal not too far from us in a bigger city, Fargo, North Dakota. And a week later, she contacted me and told me that she connected with a local rancher and she's actually buying her first quarter of a beef from him. And, so it's thinking outside the box. Like, if you wanna buy your meat from the grocery store, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I don't wanna say that. But, for me, I love being able to support the people around me and especially locally if I can. Obviously, like, we buy bananas out of the grocery store and stuff like that. Like, I mean, I don't wanna sound like I don't go to the grocery store. I do. But if I have an opportunity to connect directly from directly to somebody that actually sells that product, and I know I can build a relationship with them, I'm gonna go that route more than I am gonna go the other route.
And I think the pandemic proved that we needed to find different sources of our beef or our hogs, because there were butcher acts in several states that helped some of those local butchers expand and have the opportunity to even make these purchases. So there's been movements in that way. Let's look at the mental side here, if we could, in the last few minutes. You've got there's always stress on people. Whether it's can't control the weather, can't control the markets, can't control my family. Help me out. What am I? What? How do I center some things here?
I mean, we're the world's biggest gamblers, agriculturists. If you think about it, because just exactly what you said, markets, weather, like we throw everything up to chance. Like nothing's given to us. And I mean, with that being said, it's a very stressful lifestyle. But with that being said, none of us would trade it. Like if you talk to my husband, which was supposed to join us, he chickened out. But none of us. It's a legacy. It's a tradition that we hope to pass to our children. And so with the mental health side of things, it's learning to control it and be able to have an outlet to where you could release it. Mental stress is always going to be there. And that's something that from the last time we talked, I actually got certified in stress management. Is one of my newest certifications that I added to my plate because it's a very stressful industry and nothing's given to us and we go by chance. We're a very optimistic industry if you think about it. And we worry about the future as well, and especially with what's happening. And so to be able to process that and hit it good, you have to be leveled and checked in with yourself. You have to be able to have an outlet that's healthy. Obviously, you don't want to turn to smoking or, beer or alcohol. I'm not saying you can't have that in our program. I mean, it's back to macronutrients, whatever fits in your nutrition profile. But, again, moderation. So it kind of goes back to checking in with yourself. Like if you're not checking in with yourself daily, then how can you like it's back to that analogy, and you probably have heard of this, Paul. It's harder to pour from a half empty cup than a half full. Kind of think about that. Like it's the same amount of water in that cup, but it's that mindset. When it's half empty, you're running on empty. You're on survival mode, you're protective, you're just going with the grind of things, you're stressed to the max. But when you're half full, you have more to give because you're checked in, you're in tune with what's going on around you. You approach situations a lot better. Like for example, the farmer, my husband, he's a business. He's a business by himself. A farm is a business, a ranch is a business. And the fact that he takes that time to check in with himself and just, that 15-minute workout, or, I cook all our food on the farm. So I know he's eating healthy, like, and he's getting high protein, and it's good food, but he's fueling himself for success, and that plays into that mental side of things as well as when you're checking in with yourself and seeing and feeling your temperature, you approach situations a lot better with a mental clarity and you're not as stressed. You are able to build relationships better as well. I can't tell you how many couples we've had go through the program where they said their relationship as a couple got better because they were both physically working out and diving into nutrition. And so it just goes full circle where just something that simple, it builds a more stable in adults and individuals where you can handle when things go awry or like last year we only got 25% of our crop in. 25%. Like, that could take out some farms, but again, it's just sitting there and being able to check in with yourself and handle that and process that correctly and being like, "You know what? There's always next year." Like, this year freaking sucked, but there's always next year, and some people that would have totally crushed them.
Well, Amanda, farmer's an eternal optimist. They
Yes,
have to be.
they have to
But
be, or you're wrong in
they're
it.
right. You're exactly. If you're in the wrong industry if you don't. But you've said a couple of things there that stand out to me. And one is the agriculture and farming can be a very solo endeavor. and you have to fix things on your own. You are 45 minutes from town. You're 3 days from the part being shipped to you, whatever. You're going to have to make it work because you know the storm is coming. But you also talk about the importance of a partner or someone else to help at least have a conversation with, or maybe not necessarily cook the meals for you, but talk things through. Walk me through the balance of the solo lifestyle that a farmer can have versus the community that they can use and draw from to help.
Here, I'm gonna give you another analogy because I'm all about them to break it down. So, trust me, I got a book full. It's kind of like this. So we hire an agronomist, right, to take care of our soil health, to keep us up to date, to tell us what to do on our farming operation. What seeds to plant, what will do well based on our soil, and what's going on with um, the land. And an example like that. They also go through chemical. They do a lot of things. And what I want people to view us as is that expert. Like, we could have go figure it out. Honestly, like my husband could go out there and do it all himself, but we hire someone for their expertise. We hire them to train us and take us on the fast track. You know what I mean? And so that's where we are. We're like your fast track to physical and mental and emotional well-being. You can figure it out yourself. It's going to be lonely. A fitness journey is a journey by yourself. And it doesn't matter if you're married or if you're not. But at the same time, why wouldn't you want to connect with like-minded individuals and get a part of that system where if you are single, you're joining a program that has farmers worldwide. I mean, we're in Canada, we're international here, where you're connecting with like-minded individuals all on the same mission to be a better version of themselves. And it goes back to that, like, it doesn't matter if you're married or not married, the journey's still the same. You're still working on yourself. You're still showing for yourself, but it doesn't have to be lonely. You can connect with individuals, and we really focus on tribe. We have a community space in the app where individuals can talk. We I've had countless clients actually meet outside of farm fit training because they built a relationship and a connection. Like my farmers, it's so funny. They'll talk about crop, weather, what's happening. And next thing you know it, there's a picture in the community group chat of them at a farm show and they met for the first time. And so it becomes kind of like a brotherhood, sisterhood. I don't know how to explain it, where you're connecting with a lot more individuals in agriculture and you're building those relationships and you're still working on yourself and you're still improving yourself. And it becomes truly a tribe where it's like, I'm working on myself and I'm wanting to improve where I'm at, but I'm not doing this alone.
And nor should you.
No, you shouldn't.
It's not healthy. It's
No,
the
I think
accountability partner. I mean, we just wrapped up the new year and everybody posting about New Year's resolutions, and I saw them in my feed, like I'm sure you did too. Have a workout buddy or have a buddy that you're going to talk to about whatever it is. It's still important to have that friend, and that friend might be a half a mile away, or they might be half a state away, or half a country away, but they're there and they're for you. That's important to find wherever that person is. It's important.
absolutely. And it kind of, talking about mental health, it just knowing that somebody's there is a huge deal because it's like, there's going to be days where your shit's going to hit the fan and nothing's going to go right. Excuse my language. But, just having that group or that person to check in with um, and be able to talk about it. Like, I did another podcast earlier in the week. And one of the things that we talked about is being able to talk about when you're struggling. And that is a problem in agriculture because a lot of people in agriculture have that old mentality like, oh, just put some dirt on it and brush it off and you can work through this. But there's a lot of situations where you can't, and just having that resource where you can be able to release that and talk through it and work through it, and having that community and that person and that coach, we all need that. We all need that space, even strong individuals. And so it all encompasses, all works together. If you're stressed, if you're going through a mental health crisis, if you're dealing with physical health, or emotional health or whatever it is, you still need that community or that person to be able to work through issues. And that's why I always say I'm not a one-man show. Like, my team is absolutely fantastic. There's days where I'm like balls to the wall, like, let's go, and throwing out ideals at them. And then there's other days where, like a couple weeks ago, I was super sick. We ended up having the plague go through our house, and me and the boys got it, and I don't know what it was. I'm pretty sure it was influenza A. I don't even know. But me and the boys were sick, and it was just so cool to watch my team step up and be there for the community and still show, and be there, and they're checking on me, they're texting me and stuff, and just showing that you care. And so it's just all encompassing. Agriculture, we are freaking badasses if you think about it. I mean, we're just people on ag we are. Like,
I'm
we
going to
just
have to put an explicit rating on this podcast now,
I'm
Amanda.
sorry,
Thank you.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, but we
My
are.
word.
But
Well,
we
we have to take it one day at a time.
Yeah,
It,
and
it, but you have, as we said, 4 years in. You're in year 5 now. Walk me through the next year to 4 years. Where do you see yourself and how this journey goes with helping others?
well, my mission's still the same, like we talked about earlier. It's still that's never gonna change. In 4 years, my goal is to be able to impact over 100,000 farmers. Not just farmers. I would have to say people, individuals that are tied to the ag industry. And so we're talking about rural America. We're talking about those people that work at industries like, John Deere, Case IH, Cat, all those industries as well, because, it all leads back to agriculture. And so my ultimate goal is to be able to impact over 100,000 lives in the next 4 years. It's ambitious, and to be internationally, like, yes, we're internationally with Canada, but I would like to be over in Australia, UK, and be able to impact even more overseas, not just in the United States. Like, I see myself being able to be that voice and to stand strong and be able to really truly help our industry and change some lives, where people have that space and that accountability and that group where they can come and check in and be able to, check in with themselves and be like, you know what, today was a crappy day, but I know tomorrow's a new day. I have my workout scheduled. I can check in with myself. I know what I'm making for lunch and dinner. I'm feeling my body, and I'm just going to keep going and keep pushing forward and putting that one foot step forward every single day.
If someone wants to connect with you, how should they do it?
I'm on every oh, I shouldn't say that, because I actually canceled my TikTok and Snap. So don't find me over there because I'm not on there. But I'm on most of the big social media platforms under Farm Fit Mama. It's Farm Fit MOMMA. My page is really about me and my journey. I'll have to tell you that. But if they're interested in the business and the services that we provided, there is a separate business page called Farm Fit Training that they can get access to testimonials if they want to read some of the testimonials that we have, or if they're interested in what type of programs we offer as well.
Amanda, great to catch up with you. I appreciate your time every time we chat.
I know. And sorry, I dropped a couple cuss bombs in there.
Hey, that's just the way it goes. We'll see what the boss says if they were beeped or if they're on maybe I could make that as a fundraiser. No, that might not go well if I make the explicit version. Who knows what we would do. All right, Amanda, thank you so much.
Yep.
My thanks to Amanda, and thank you for watching, listening, or reading. New episodes of this podcast come out each and every Tuesday. If you have anything else you want to send me, do it in an email, markettomarket@iowapbs.org. And also don't forget to sign up for the Market Insider newsletter. You'll know what's coming out in podcast form before anybody else does. How cool is that? We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.